Recording and Basra Hashem, stay in progress. Okay, we're up to Gufa on Kuf Samich Gimel Amid Beis. Kuf Samich Gimel Amid Beis. We're in the middle of a sugya of shtaros, of different possibilities of how a shtar is to be written. So if you don't write a kol shar of a kayim, so the maximum space that you could have between the Eidim and the Kasav is one line. One line between the Eidim and the Kasav, you can have one line, because you're not going to learn from that line anyway. If you have two lines, that's the problem. Because why? Because you go ahead and write whatever you want in the first line, and then write Chazar Dibra in the second line, and therefore you will be guilty of what? Of a forgery. The Gemara yesterday was qualifying the size of this line. We had different opinions, right? And along the way, we mentioned that if, according to Rav, if you wrote a shtar on an Eidim sign on a makam of machak that was erased, it's okay. So now we brought that in yesterday, Agav, and now we're gonna analyze it for itself. So Gufa, right? Amarav, shtar haba. Again, there was another opinion. It was Shmuel who said this, but again, Amarav, shtar haba, who ve'edav ala machak, who the shtar itself, ve'edav ala machak on an erased kasha, it's kasha. Vim toimar. Right? And what are you going to say? Moichik v'chazru moichik. If you're telling me that's okay, so we're worried that maybe he'll go ahead, he'll erase what was there, keep the Eidim, and therefore what? Why would it be okay? If you're telling me that an erasable shtar is acceptable, so I'll erase the shtar, write whatever I want in, and keep the Eidim that were there previously, who signed on the previous shtar, and thus I'll have a viable forgery. Why aren't we worried about that? Why are you concerned about that? You would know, you would recognize that it was erased two times, and you'd see that the Eidim were different, so you'd notice the color of what the Eidim signed on and the discoloration of the previous shtar, and therefore you realize that it's a forgery, that there's something that's something that's wrong over here. So therefore, we don't have a concern that you will re-erase, because once it's re-erased, it'll be different than the makam, the Eidim that was erased only once. Initially, before you're going to go ahead and sign the shtar, you're going to go ahead, you'll put dayai, ink, on the place of the Eidim, and then you'll erase it. In other words, the guy is unscrupulous, is that the word? He's going to go ahead and find many ways to go ahead and be unscrupulous. So here, it's amazing, the Gemara goes through every single possibility. So how about this possibility? You're telling me I'm going to have, guys, this is the makam of the Eidim, and this is the shtar. So it's very good. You recognize that this was erased once, and this was erased twice. And therefore, you'll see there's something wrong. So what this guy is going to do the following. He's going to erase this once. He's going to erase it by twice. So this will be once, this will be twice. He'll then re-erase this, and now you'll have two. So you'll have your forgery. Why are we concerned about that? Right? Why are we not concerned about that? Amabaya ksavarav ein choismen al machak elam kain nimchak b'fneihem. We're not concerned about that because the Eidim will only sign on the machak unless it was erased in front of them. Right? Rashbam v'myiru makam chasimasan mishuna v'mechika min ha'elyon lo yachtumu. If they see that the place that they're signing on is different than the first one. So according to what you're doing now is, this area is going to be erased only once. This area is going to be erased twice. They won't sign on here if it's different than here. The Eidim won't sign on here if it's different than here. So if this is a 2 erased and this is a 1 erased, they're not signing. So since you don't have the concern, says Rav, you can go ahead and sign on a makam machak. In other words, Rav said his din, we're questioning his din, and now we're doing away any possibility that a forgery could take place, right? So one, you can't possibly say that you're going to erase it a second time, because then you'll have a 2 on top and 1 on the bottom. Fred Gemara, so do the following: a 1 on top create a 2 on the bottom and then do a 2 on the top. Says the Gemara, they're not signing on that bottom if there's only a 1 on the top. If they notice that it's different, there's no way they're signing. Okay, so that's the Gemara so far. Macy. Okay, Rabbi Avi, we're about 6 lines down on Kuf Samach Dal and Amid Aleph. 6 lines down, Mesiveh, but here's Kasha. Who ala niyar? Niyar they teach as new parchment or the paper. Usually means paper, but over here we're gonna. It's a different material than the top part. Okay, it looks different than the top part. So the shtar is written what? And a place that's niyar, meaning it hasn't been erased. The edav and the edim, they're al hamachak, they were in a place that has been erased. So in our scenario, this is very good, guys. This is brand new, and this is an erasure, right? Guys, this is brand new. This is on niyar. This is on niyar, we're teaching not as paper, we're teaching it as unerased cloth. And the edim are signing on erased cloth. Good? And the edim are signing on erased cloth. So we'll do that. So if the shtar is written on the unerased part, on the niyar, and the edim are signing on that's kasha. If you mekayim the edim, that's kasha. Fred Gemara v'nechesh dilma machakle v'kos of my deboy v'havile hu v'edav ala machak. You're telling me if this is brand new and this is erased, what happens the following? You wrote the shtar on here. You have a signature over here. Erase this, write whatever you want. You'll have a machak and a machak. It'll be the same. You're telling me if this is new and this is erased once, that it's okay. Why? I can make this what? Erased once, like this. And therefore you won't say it's unrecognizable difference between 2 and 1. It's 1 and 1. How could you say if you write it on the new part that it's a viable shtar and if you mekuyim the edim, why are we concerned that you're going to erase that new part? Now you'll have an eraser on the top, an eraser in the place of the edim, and it'll be the same shtar. So why don't you worry about that? Why don't you worry about that? That's the kasha. That's the kasha. No, it's the kasha on Rav. You, Rav, say that edim. You, Rav, say edim and shtar on a eraser is good. Again, Gufa, we're beginning this year. Amar Rav, shtar habo v'hu ve'edim al machak kasha. A shtar that's coming, it's on the makam of the machak, and the edim is kasha. Yes? Why? Why? Why not? According to Rav, it should have no problem whatsoever. V'nechesh still machak le v'kosev my deboy v'havile hu ve'edim al machak. Says the Gemara, so l'chayr that's kasha, and for the Gemara, in other words, it's mashma fellas, guys. It's mashma the following. It's mashma. It's really a kasha on Rav. The only reason this is kasha is because this is new and this is old. But if this was old and this was old, it wouldn't be good. But why wouldn't it be good? It would be the same as Rav. So we're really questioning Rav's din. By really questioning Rav's din, how can you say that works? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you how it works. Right? The kasvei, the Edom write, hachi. Anachna sadei chasamna al mechaka ushtara kasa al niyara. We, the Edom, signed on mechak, but the place of the shtar was a new area. It wasn't erased. They write that. So therefore, you don't have a concern. Fred Gemara, the kasvei hecha. Where exactly did they write that? If they wrote it below their names, right? Gaius later, just cut it off. And if it's written above, then machak lay, they'll erase it. Says the kasvei bein sada l'sada. You know where it was written? Between the two edis. Between the two edim signed, it was written between there. And therefore, if you wrote on the new part and the old part, it's only good if you wrote in between. We the edim signed on what? A machak, and the shtar was written on the yard. In that case, it's good. Okay, now we're going to have the inverse. If you're telling me the Edom signed and saying that we signed on a machak, and the star was written on the yar on the new part, and that works. What about this case? Why doesn't this case work? Ihachi ema the seifa hu al machak. The star is written on the machak. The edav al niyar. So the top part is an erased part. The edim are assigning on an unerased part, and that's puzzle. That's puzzle. That's puzzle. Okay, that's puzzle. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. What are you worried about? That he's going to go ahead and write stuff in there. It was erased already. You're going to again the edim are on a new part, so you're going to write. And what are we concerned about? You'll go ahead erase. It's erased already. You're going to erase, and then what? It's going to be edim signed on something that wasn't there before. I ain't a doima 1 to 2. That's guys. That's when you're comparing two erasers. When you're comparing it to something that's unerased, there's no difference 1 or 2. You have over here an erased star. You have over here edim signed on brand new material. Okay, so here's a cloth. This cloth was erased. The edim signed over here, right? We said it's puzzle. Why is it puzzle? Here's my concern. Maybe this eraser, you're going to go ahead and erase it. Write something. You're going to write whatever you want over here, and you'll have edim signed on here. So I'm asking you a question. Didn't we say before? Why would you think you could write over here? If it's the difference between being erased once and being erased twice. So we said being erased twice is discernible when you compare it to a 1. When you compare it to nothing, there's no difference. This is no matter how many times I erase it, I'm going to have edim signed on a new piece of star over here. That's my concern. Therefore it's puzzle. Therefore it's puzzle because there will be no reason to say it doesn't work, except that the reason it's puzzle is because you can get away with it. How can you get away with it? You erased it twice, and if you erase it twice, it's discernible. It's discernible, guys. If the edim had signed, guys, if this was erased twice and this was erased once, then you see a difference between two erasures. If this was erased twice, this was erased once, then you have a discernible difference. If this was erased twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and this is new, doesn't make a difference. Therefore, it's puzzle. Got it? Good. I hope so. Therefore, it's puzzle. Okay. So now, my puzzle. Why is it puzzle? Hachanami nichtvu. Why don't they write the following? Anachna sade chasamna al niyara. We went ahead and we signed on new. V'shtara al mechaka. So therefore, it should be kasha. My amit. What are you going to say? Moichik v'chayzru moichik. V'amit sheina doime nimcha pamachas l'nimcha shtei panim. So what's the answer? The answer is what I told you. Guys, the answer is what I told you. You know where you say the difference between 2 and 1? Whereas where edim signed on a makam machak. So then you can compare one eraser to another eraser, and it's recognizable that this was erased twice. But heicha deloy chasima sadei amachaka, where edim are not signed on machaka, el aniyar, then lo yedia, it's not known. Okay, let me do this again. I did it twice. Let me do it one more time. Here's the case where we're not worried. If you sign on machak and you sign on machak, says Rav, it's great. Says Rav, it's not a problem. Greg, the Gemara, why is it not a problem? Maybe I'll erase over here, and the Ada never signed on that. And for Rav, if you go ahead and erase this a second time, and this was erased one time, you'll see the difference between a 2 and a 1. You'll see the difference. So therefore, it's kosher, because I'm not worried. Because if you do go ahead and make a forgery, we'll catch you. Good. What about this case? This is machak. This is machak. It's erased, and this is brand new. So the Adam signed on brand new, and this over here. It's no good. We're worried this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. What's the problem? This is erased. You'll erase it again. You write a brand new star, and you'll have Adam on it. Shred the Gemara, why are we worried about that? Right? Just write, we the Adim signed on a niyar and it was written on machak. So the Gemara answers, good. When I erase it again a second time, it's right, it's true. We signed on new, and that was written on machak. Fred the Gemara, you said, it's recognizable if it's erased twice. When's it recognizable, fellas? It's recognizable when you have a contrast. When you can contrast a 2 times to a 1 time, what happens to 2 times to a 0? 3 times to a 0. And therefore, since you can get away with it, it's possible. Since you can get away with it, it's possible. The Gemara really goes to, it's Gavaldik, how it goes to each little nuance of to make this work. Okay? So therefore, when it's written on the yard, then lo yadiyah. Okay, Fred the Gemara, again, we're finding more. Why do we have such a problem? For Leisei Megilta Achrita, bring in other parchment, Ulemachke, and erase that other parchment, Uledame, and go ahead and compare it to it. In other words, I'll be able to tell whether this was erased. I might not be able to tell, to contrast 2 mechikas, 1 mechika to 0. But let's say I'm going to bring from the outside another star. And now I'll compare that. I'll erase this a second time, and I'll know, oh, look, this is what it looks like, so I'll know what this looks like. So why do you parcel it out, right? I have a way of ascertaining whether it was a forgery or not. I can't see if it's a forgery when I'm comparing the star to the Eidim, because the Eidim are signed on a new piece. But I don't know if it's a forgery if it was erased more than once by bringing another piece and erasing that twice. So by that comparison, I can figure it out. So if I could do that, why is it possible? Guys, you with me? You with me? It's good visual aids. I mean, good. So now, hey, you got to do what you got to do, whatever's at hand. So it's geschmack alumnus. In other words, it should be puzzle. I have a way of figuring it out if it's a forgery. Bring another piece, erase it, and compare it. If it looks the same, then it's erased once. If it looks different, maybe it's erased twice, and then I'll figure it out. Or I'll erase this one twice and then compare it. In other words, there is a way, inherently in the star itself, I can't compare it to the Eidim because that's on a new piece. But bring another star, now that's also an old piece, and compare the two. As I read the Gemara. Okay, as I read the Gemara. V'leisi megilta being achrita, v'limchaik uladamala, says Gemara, leidami machka daha megilta ulamach laha megilta. It's not comparable, right? It's not comparable. Why? Because every texture is different. You go to how many Sifrei Torah you go, you see the parchment. It's so different. It's so you can't say that the cloth is the same. So even if you erase it, you have no way of knowing. Inherently in the cloth itself, that I could if I can compare the makom of the Eidim, which I can't because that was new, right? But on the other hand, this is not comparable. Fred the Gemara ulakabla lechasimas yedei sada bebeidina. Go ahead, take Eidim, and go ahead and have them sign on another piece of paper for limchoik. Go ahead, and be machak uladana. Okay, I got a great answer to that, guys. Watch. What's our problem over here? This is erased, and this is new. Good. If this was erased and this was erased, would it be a good comparison? So here's what I'm going to do. These Eidim are going to sign on another piece of paper. And we'll be Mekayim the star. We'll be Mekayim the this. What does that do? It makes this a moot point, correct? What are you going to do now? Erase this now, and you'll be able to tell by self-comparison. Geschmack, right? Go ahead. In other words, if your whole problem is you can't go ahead and make a comparison outside, but independently, at least make it inherently within itself. I can do that. You need the makam, you need the Eidim, be Mekayim the Eidim, erase that, and then you'll be able to tell it's a forgery. So if you could do that, then it shouldn't be puzzle. Why puzzle when it's machak in niyar? I have a way of feeling machak, geshmaka kash. Says the Gemara. So go ahead, ulakabelech asimis yedei sadei bevedina v'limcha lodame. So Rav Hashaya ein adoim nimchach bin yomel nichem ben shnei yomim. Kishmak. In other words, you're right. It's the same document. But if it's erased one on Sunday, it's not the same if it's erased on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. It doesn't look the same. So you do not have a way of within the shtar itself of seeing if the makam of the edim and the makam of the shtar are the same. There's no way you can do it. Therefore, it's puzzle. Because then I have the concern of what? You're going to erase the top and you'll have edim on the bottom. I have no other way of doing it. I can't go ahead and bring another piece of paper. I can't go ahead and erase the edim. There's no way of doing it. Fred Gemara u'l'shayaha, keep it around. In other words, keep it around, and the shtar. In other words, keep it around and then erase it, so it'll be aged like the shtar, and then you could compare it. That's what it says. Again, this is the okimta. The best. It's in this case where it's not subject to an intellectual understanding of Torah, where it's more of a physical mitzias, keeping it around and doing that, we will be suspicious perhaps that Bezdin won't do it correctly. Right? Again, you're talking about mechanical work. You're not talking about anything to do with brain power. Okay? So Mamela, it comes out good. Okay, so let's go over Rab's case. Let's go. Rab said it then. Rab said that if the Edim and the Shtar are written on a place of Machak, then it's kasha. For the Gemara, why are we concerned you're going to erase the Shtar, write in a whole new Shtar and have Edim? Says the Gemara, you won't be able to compare 2 to 1. You won't be able to compare 2 to 1. The Gemara then goes ahead and says, if the Shtar was written on something new and the Edim were written on Machak, it would be good. It would be good. It would be good. Conversely, if it's written, the Edim are the Shtar is on a Makam Machak and the Edim on a Makam, no, it's no good, right? Because you could forge the Shtar. Because we have no way of going ahead and ascertaining whether what the Edim and the Shtar are written on the, not written on the same day. We won't be able to figure it out. Since we won't be able to figure it out, the Melawad, it's puzzle. Okay, the rest of the Gemara is geschmack as anything. Okay, it's not that this wasn't. It's just, I enjoyed it very much. Now, the Mishnah said that one of the things in the Makusha, the Edim were inside the Shtar, and Pashut is on the inside. The Edim, they were written inside the Shtar. We said if you go ahead in the folds, right? We said if you go ahead and do it differently, it's possible. If the Makusha didn't have Edim written on the outside, but on the inside, kasha, because you could make a Shtar Makusha into a Shtar Pashut. Therefore, it's kasha. Therefore, it's kasha. No, the Shtar does not automatic puzzle. The Gemara is going to question that. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel Mekusha, if Mekusha that's written with the Edim on the inside is kasha, because you can make it into a pashut. Heishiv Rabbi commented. Now Rabbi, this is Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Yehuda Nasi commented. The Divrei Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, according to the words of Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, right? You can't compare the two shtaros because the zman of the Mekusha was different than the zman of the Pashut. Now, if you might remember from the Gemara in the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, when they would date the Shtar, they were dated in the year of the king, so the reign of so-and-so, the reign of so-and-so, the reign of so-and-so. The Shtar Mekusha was always 1 year ahead. Let's say, so it was the first year of the reign in Shtar Pashut, they'd write Shtar the second year of the reign in Shtar Mekusha. Right? Rashbam says we want to make a Shtar Mekusha as meshuna, as different as possible, because again, we want to delay making it so that the Kohen will go ahead and get his act together and not divorce his wife. Okay, so therefore, the Zman of the Mekusha and the Zman of the Pashut is different. So it's going to be an obvious question. How could Reb Chanina then go ahead and say that you can make the Mekusha into a Pashut? You may have a case where a guy had a Mekusha, he prepaid the loan quickly, right? Never gave the guy back the shtar. He said it got lost. Shows up in the year and says, "Hey, you owe me money." So how could Reb Chanina say we allow a kosher to become a pashut? Inherently, there's a problem. You may go ahead and allow this guy to collect the second time. Says the Gemara. Pashut melech shana, minor lashana. Shtayim, the second year, Moina Shtayim. Mekusher, Melech, Shana, Moina Shtayim. The Melech in the first year, we count second year. Shtayim, Moina Gimel. Now, so what's wrong with that? The Zimnin the Yosef Mine, Zuze, he'll go ahead, Rabbi Mekusher. Umisramile Zuze, Beni. He'll borrow money in a Mekusher. He'll go ahead, pay it off. Uparale, the Yamalei, and the person will say, the loiva will say, Havli shtaroi, give me my shtar. V'amalei, the mavel will say, Irkisli, I lost it. The chosivle tavra, and he'll write a receipt that he paid up. The chimote zmane, and now when it comes to the zman of the shtar makusha, which is a year later, mashvile poshet, he'll make it into a poshet. V'amalei, Hani hashta asaminoi, now's when you borrowed from me. So in other words, inherently, how could Rabbi Chanina say you can make a makusher into a pashat? You're going to go ahead and incentivize a person to lie. That the possibility, I don't know if you'll incentivize him, but the guy might come up with a good scam. Again, let's go through it. We saw that makusher is different than the pashat, mainly by a get. But we said because we wanted the get to stay in place, we applied it to shtaris as well. The whole purpose of it was that the kohen should have to dilly-dally before he divorces his wife if he got angry, because there was a place they got angry at their wives, they divorced them, and then they'd be they'd wake up and they say, no, oh no, what I did, and it's unreversible. It's unreversible. I know I have a family member who was married to a kohen and divorced him. She hasn't got married yet. And she regrets it. Her and her first husband are getting along very, very well now, and I'm sure they would remarry. But he's a kohen. He's a kohen. So I mean, it's b'didi haviyuvda. I mean, it's not something that's uncommon. So yeah, when we come to dating it, they'd also date it differently to make a difference between. I guess in writing it, maybe it's different, or inherently it's different. So a get poshet, the date is the year of the king of his first reign. Mashen came the Makusha is always mu'ucher. It's always a shtar mu'ucher. It's post-dated. So if it's post-dated, I got a problem. Like you, Reb Chanina, that you can make a makusha into a pashat. What happens if he has his shtar makusha? He pays it up early. He keeps the shtar, says it's lost. The loiva says, oh, it's lost. How do I know you're not going to recollect from me? So he goes, I tell you, I'll write you a receipt. Writes a receipt, paid in full. Great. Shows up now, takes the makusher, makes it into a pashat, says Reb Chanina that's doable. And now it's listed a year later, it comes the right date because it's saying in the second year of the king. And he uses it again. So it's a kasha Reb Chanina. How can I go ahead and you make a pashat into a pashat? Inherently, you have a problem. You have a concern. Good. Yeah, Baruch.
But the receipt. So what does the receipt do then? Or the receipt's on the cash?
Takes care of the first loan. Again, you're reusing the shtar. The receipt took place on the. In other words, if I paid off a loan, give me the shtar. Good. I don't have it. I lost it. Oh, you lost it? Write a receipt that I paid up. So you write a receipt that I paid up. This guy now produces the shtar. He produced, and he's using it again. He's using it again. In other words, the guy can't say, "Oh, I paid up already." So because you paid up, I goes, "Yeah, I even wrote you a receipt." So you see, obviously, I wrote you a receipt. I have a shtar. It must be a total new loan. It must be a total new loan. So why are we concerned about that if you can make a kosher into a pashat, right? It's very, very galatakash. Okay. V'amalei hani hashta the yasas minoi. Skasabe and kais v'shoiva. You know what Rabbi Chanina holds, guys? You don't write a shoiva. In other words, the only way I'm paying you back is if you give me the shtar. The only way I'm paying you back is you give me the shtar. Memela, if that's the only way, I don't have a concern that you could use it again because it's not going to be around. I can go ahead and make a makosher the pasha. It's kasha. You're concerned maybe you're going to go ahead and use it and say you lost it. You're not getting your money back, fella. The only way you're getting your money back is what if you give it back to me. Because what? Because in this, we're speaking of a place we don't write a shaver. That's Reb Chanina. Male Reb Chanina is good, guys. That's the challenge to Reb Chanina. If you don't write a shaver, so we're not concerned that you're going to use the kosher and make it into a pashut, because if you don't give it back to the guy, he's not going to go ahead and repay you the loan. Now, it's mashma from here that Rebbe, he knew the halachas of Makusha, right? Rebbe is asking Rebbe Chanina. Rebbe Chanina, according to you, that you make a kosher into pashut. Mashma Rebbe knew what a Makusha was. Umi Baki. Rebbe ben Mekusha, is Rebbe an expert in Mekusha? V'ahu Mekusha, there was the Shtar Mekusha, the Asla Kamei de Rebbe, that came in front of Rebbe. V'amar Rebbe, Shtar Ma'ucha zeh. Says Rebbe, it's a Shtar Ma'ucha. Right? Why? Because it said the year of 2, the year of 1, right? It should have said what? The year of the reign of 1. It said the year in the second year. Rebbe said it's a Shtar that's post-dated. V'amar Le Zainin, that's the name of a person. A very obscure name of a person. Family Zainin, L'Rebbe, Kach min haga shel umazu, Melech shana moinala shtayim manala shleisha. So what do you see? That Rebbe did not know the halach what Makusha was. He needed Zainin to tell it to him. And for the Gemara, anything you guys, anyone you could have given this teretz. Basra the Shamim is Zayin Sabra. In other words, initially he didn't know. Once Zayin explained it, Zainin explained it to him. Once Zayin explained it to him, then he knew. And the Gemara, that when did he ask him Reb Chanina? After he had been educated by Zainin, then he went ahead and taught it. Then he questioned Reb Chanina. Okay, Ha'ushtara, there was the star. Davi Kosev Bey Bishanas Ploini Arkon. In the year of Ploini Arkon. Arkon means the first year of his reign. Amrab Chanina, Yibdak Emasai Amid Arkon. Go ahead, Be'arkonuse. Go find out where the king began the first year of his reign, right? Exactly when he began. The Dilma, the Orech Malkuse. Maybe Arkon does not mean the first year. Maybe it means a long time, like Orech, like long. Amrab Aishia, Kach min Haga Shel Umazu. This nation, Shana Rishayna, they call it the year of the king Arkon. Shina, the second year, Kairla Digun. Right? So in other words, they have a nickname kind of for the year of the king. The Mela, once it says Arkin, I know it does not mean Orich, it means what? First year. And figure it out the first year to figure out the Dilma Avure, maybe what maybe he's using it, he's lengthening it. Right? Maybe the fact that he has the star, maybe the fact that he has the star that says Arkin in it, right? The fact that the star says what? It says Arkin in it. Maybe he Taka ruled for many years, and maybe now it's after he went down from his Malchus, and then he came back, right? And they call it Arkin because they were Machadish and Malucha. How do you know it means the first year? So how can you collect from the first year in the beginning? Maybe it means Archan long, and then he came back. So maybe Avuri Mavrid, he came, like I guess like President Trump. He made a comeback, right? So maybe, how do you know it's the beginning for him? Maybe it means long. So Amar, maybe it passed his time, and now they put him back up. So Rav Yirmiyah, Ahu Arkin Digun Karilhu. That wasn't called Arkin, it was called Arkin Digun. So you would know. Tanrabanan. Hareini Nazir, a person says I'm a Nazir. Stam Nazirus, guys, is 30 days. Stam Nazirus is 30 days. So a person says Hareini Nazir. Sumchus Amar, Henna. If he says I'm a Nazir, it means Henna, it means 30 days. Digun, if he says, in other words, if he says I want to be a Nazir for Henna, means for 30 days. I want to be a Nazir Digun, means 60 days. The Shtayim. Trigun, I want to be a Nazir for Trigun. This is all Greek. The Shalish, it's 90 days. Tatrigun, or Tetragon, which of course is 4. So therefore, that's 4 Naziris is 120 days. And Pentagon, right, was as Pentagon, right, is Chamesh. That's 5, it's 150 days. Tanrabanan. Base Uggle, if you have a house that's round, had a chavusa, had a round, you sit in his room, there was no walls, it was just round, it was a cylinder. So if you have a house that has cylindrical walls, right, or digun, it has only 2 corners, or trigon 3, pentagon 5, Einim B'Tamim and Negoyim. All these will not be Tamim Tumas Negoyim. The only way it's going to Tamim Tumas Negoyim is Tatrigon, 4, B'Tamim Tumas Negoyim. In order to be B'Tamim Tumas Negoyim, you need 4 walls. So it has 2 walls, 3 walls, 5 walls, not 4 walls, yes. Wadi Menani Mili, the Tanur Rabbanon, it says, V'hine HaNega, it should say there's a Nega B'Kir HaBayis, guys. And a person sees a tsaras in the wall of the house. It doesn't say B'Kir, it says Kirois Habayis, Lashon Rabim. And Lamata it says Pesha Hanegar, and it should say B'Kir Habayis. But it doesn't say Pesha Hanegar B'Kira, it says Pesha Hanegar B'Kirois Habayis. Why does it say Kirois twice, plural, where it should have said 1? Shtayim. Harikan Arba, you have 2 and 2 is 4. Okay, and the whole reason you brought that in is because of, tell me, a base ogle, tetragon and pentagon. Ahu Mekusha, it was Get Mekusha. Thus the Kamei, the Rebbe, came in front of the Rebbe. Vama Rebbe, ain't Zman B'zeh, we had this before. There's no Zman in this. Amalei Reb Shimon by Rebbe, Rebbe, Shema Ben Ksharav Muvla. Maybe remember, they used to fold it over and they would sew it closed. So they're folding over and sewing it closed. Perhaps that's what his man is. So Palya, they opened it up, the Chazia, they ripped it away, and they saw that the date was written there. Hadachazibei Rebbe Bebishus. So Rebbe was a bit perturbed at his son, Reb Shimon. He was a bit perturbed at his son, Reb Shimon, because he held Reb Shimon wrote it. You see, Rebbe wasn't an expert in these things, right? He held that he wrote this, and therefore he should have told him. So Amalei, Reb Shimon Rebbe said, Lava no kasve, I didn't write this, but who wrote it? Reb Yehuda Chayota, Reb Yehuda Chayota, that was his name, Yehuda Chayota Kasve, he wrote it. Amalei, Rebbe said, Klach from Lashon Hara, said, get away from this Lashon Hara. Get away from this Lashon Hara. Zimnin, another time, Yosef Kamei, that Shimon, the son of Rebbe, was sitting in front of Rebbe, V'kapasik Sidra b'Sefer Tehillim, and they were learning Sefer Tehillim, and Amar Rebbe, Kama Miyusha Ksav how Miyusha, how nice and straight is this Ksav? Amalei, Reb Shimon said, Lava no Kasvei, I didn't write it, Yehuda Chayota Kasvei, Yehuda wrote it. So Amalei, so Rebbe said, Klachim Lashon Hara Zeh, go away from this Lashon Hara. So Bishlem Mahasam, very good in the first case, where he was getting a little peichacha with the Shtar Mekusha. We can understand Ika Lashon Hara, that he said, oh, I didn't do it, he did it, and it wasn't a good thing. Elahacha, but over here, Rebbe said, wow, it's written so nicely, and you said, oh, I didn't write it so nicely, he wrote it so nicely. Apparently he's giving a compliment. So why is it considered Lashon Hara? My Lashon Hara Ika, L'chayr is complimenting Rebbe Yehuda Chayota. And for the Gemara Mishun de Rav Dimi, because Rav Dimi's din, the Tani Rav Dimi, Achua de Rav Safra, said Rav Dimi, the brother of Safra, L'olam, al yisape odem b'tevasa shel chaveiroi, a person should not go ahead and speak about the goodness of another individual. Why? Shemi toich, tevasa b'olei ra'asai. We'll see in a second what this means. And you're speaking about a person positively, you're going to come to this negative. Amrav, Shloisha averis ain't other nisal mehem b'chol yom. 3 averis that a person is difficult to go ahead and avoid every day. Huri avera, thinking about inyani averis, inyani kedusha is nus. V'yan tefila, the machloik is what that means. Waiting. Iyan tefila, Tosfos says not to have kavana. Rashbam says waiting. You look, you daven, you're waiting for it to happen. V'lashon hara. Those are 3 things that are difficult. Thinking about these things and looking in the tefillah, I mean, davening about kavana and lashon hara. These are 3 things that people have difficulty staying away from. Lashon hara sakat. Not everyone speaks lashon hara. So what do you mean? The people who don't speak lashon hara. Avak lashon hara. It doesn't mean lashon hara. It means the dust of lashon hara. What does that mean? Look at top Rashbam. Avak lashon hara kigoin the amrei noira beplanya be'erchin. Look, there's smoke coming from that person's house. You know what you're saying? That this person's a good cook, and therefore let's go eat over there. You just said smoke's coming from his house. You didn't say anything bad, but it leads to. That's what avak lashon hara. I didn't mean to say anything negative about Rabbi Yehuda Chayota, but it leads to that. That's avak lashon hara. I'm Rabbi Yehuda Marav. Roiv begezel. Majority of people are over on gezel. Miyut be'aroyas, a minority be'aroyas. V'akol b'lashon hara. Rashbam. Roiv begezel. Roiv b'nei yodam chashudim ala gezel. Ke'in gezel. Shemoirin hatera b'masu mata. You know, Rashbam is saying none of you is going ahead and physically stealing, but when es kommt zu Geld, is an andere Welt. There's a saying, right? When it comes to money, there's always a shmei drei, right? So there's a shmei drei when it comes to money. So therefore, that's what it means. It means like that, you murder heta to steal. And therefore, and also lashon hara. Lashon hara is like ela avak lashon hara. So what's this Indian of lashon hara? Avak lashon hara, complimenting. I always have problems with this. So Sefer, here it is, the Sefer Chavetz Chaim Sefer on lashon hara. This is in Klal. It's in Klal Test. Klal Test. I'll read to you a little bit from the Sefer. Yesh devarim. So the Klal is din avak lashon hara b'chol protav uboy shisa sifim. There's 6 sifim to explain avak lashon hara. So avak lashon hara is leading the dust of avoid desire. It's not outright lashon hara, but it leads to it, or it was meramis to it. Yesh devarim she'asurim mitam avak lashon hara. Kigoyin she'omer mi haya omer al ploini she'yeh kamei shuata. Would anyone say about so and so that he is what he is now? You see a person that you know when you were young, and you say, and then you see them later, and you can't believe what happened to that person. Look what that happened to that person. Look how that person grew. Look, he's a lawyer. He's a big doctor. He's a Talmid Chacham. A million years I wouldn't have thought he'd be that. It's the Vak Lashon Hara, guys. It's the Vak Lashon Hara. That's the Vak Lashon Hara. I show him a shiskumi plani. Ain't a right idea ma'era or ma'iyeh. I don't want to say what happened. Similar to things that allude to other things. You're alluding to another place, another time, another person, there's allusions to these things. And it leads to an allusion to something that's Einos Devarim, right? We spoke about Einos Devarim. You're leading to speaking about negative. This is the part. You speak positively about your friend. Now, all of us have spoken positively about people. If anything, we think a compliment's a good thing. And we find Gemaras where they compliment. Here's the key, guys. You're speaking mifnei soinov. You're speaking in front of people who do not think highly of him. So what's going to happen when you speak positively about him? What's he going to pipe up with? Oh, yeah? A good classic. Oh, yeah? You think he is? Guess what? In other words, you're leading him to that. Gam came b'chala vak lashon hara. That's also in the category of vak lashon hara. So it seems that vak lashon hara is where you could think something that is similar to or leads to lashon hara. You're causing them to speak in the ganai. So if you're going to speak positively about a person in front of people who hate him, so now obviously the question is, so obviously Reb Shimon speaking in front of his father and saying, you the Chayata, he wrote this. Where there's no sign of there pashtus. If you're marba, if you speak too much positively, mashma, you could speak a little bit, but too much, even shleib sign of, is not good. He himself, in the end, in other words, if you speak so much good about, you're going to say there's a but, but you speak about a person, there's always a but. No one's perfect. There's always a but. Loima chutz mida razu. This guy is this. However, he's right. Zeshiesh like oi shahashoimim yeshivuhu, or the people who are there. If you spoke too much, they'll say, "Lama tamar b'shvacha." Why are you speaking so positively about him? In other words, when you speak too much, you're leading yourself up to. But, however, whether it's you or the people in front of you, even if they're not sign up. Here's the head, guys. All this is not mishabche berabim. This is speaking in front of, forget sign up, you're speaking in front of an audience. And rabim in bechol gavni is asa, right? You speak a bunch of people, you're going to go to the left, they're going to go to the right, you're just going to find, again, it's really, my Rabbi was maspid one person, I think, but you hesped them, you sit by You sit by a funeral and you hear people talking and you say to yourself, but, however, my Rebbe therefore said, the Taz says, if you're maspid, it's then in Haggadah Edus. It's like you're testifying. And when you testify, you can't lie. And I think it connects to this also. If you go to a Levaya and people speaking, whatever, and then there's the but, there's always that, however. This, says the Rambam, this is the Indian over here. This took place by Rabbim. This conversation between Reb Shimon, Rebbe, and Rebbe, where he said, oh, look how beautiful this ksav is. Said Reb Shimon Rebbe, yeah, I didn't write it, but you know who wrote it? Rabbi Yehuda Chayata. Oh, you're praising him Barabim even once? Barabim? That's awesome. That's the hezbollah to this Gemara, guys. That's the hezbollah to this Gemara. If something's Barabim, even one thing can lead a person to go ahead, what? And that's a Lashon Hara. Again, Klal Tes, Simin, Ayin Beis Gimel, and Sefer Lashon Hara.